You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Predators always need prey. And now the psychopaths in charge have turned on Americans, based on an article by Tom Hartman. The real predator is the state with power. A heat wave and a cover story. Hundreds died in Europe from heat, and the source uses that disaster as a springboard to argue that the deeper problem is predation. Not weather alone, but institutions captured by people who use power to extract, intimidate, and punish. That framing matters because it tries to move the story from a climate event to a political structure. The second move is the more important one. Power is not hidden here. The actors with actual institutional power are not abstract predators. They are the Trump regime, Republican office holders, corporate monopolies, fossil fuel executives, wealthy donors, and the courts and agencies that protect them. The source names the machinery plainly enough: snap cuts pushed by JD Vance, DHS intimidation, ICE violence, mining deals that enrich Trump's family, and a political class that can turn law into a threat against critics. That is the key fact. Predation in this story is not a mood or a species trait. It is what happens when state authority, money, and enforcement all point in the same direction. Misdirection by moralizing. The opening psychology lesson about wolves, rabbits, and predators risks laundering responsibility. It makes structural abuse sound ancient, instinctive, and almost natural. That is convenient for the people running the system, because it blurs the line between deliberate policy and tragic inevitability. The source is sharper when it stops talking about human nature and starts naming choices: stripping food aid, threatening protesters, enriching the president's sons, and using federal power to protect elites while punishing dissent. Those are not accidents. They are decisions. The cruelty is administrative. The most revealing details are bureaucratic. A notice saying you may have violated federal law is not just a letter. It is a state-issued warning designed to chill speech. Arrests and decade-long sentences for protesters are not isolated excesses. They are the legal form of intimidation. The same goes for DHS visits meant to scare people who post about abuses. This is how modern authoritarianism often works in practice. Not as a dramatic coup, but as routine administration. The state does not always need to shout. It can file, mail, fine, prosecute, and frighten. Billionaires need the state, not just the market. The source is right to connect corporate predation to government predation, but the relationship is tighter than the piece sometimes suggests. Corporations can nickel and dime customers. Government can seize wages, strip benefits, jail people, and authorize violence. When billionaire interests capture the state, they get a force multiplier. That is why the mining deal, the fossil fuel subsidies, the insurance and banking protections, and the court packing project belong in the same story. This is not scattered corruption. It is an aligned system. Private wealth buys public force, and public force shields private extraction. The deeper pattern is simple. When democratic institutions weaken, predation stops looking like theft and starts looking like governance. Food aid becomes a target. Climate destruction becomes policy. Protest becomes a security problem. The press and platforms become battlegrounds for elite control. And the people who lose power are told, in one form or another, to accept it as normal. That is the real lesson here. The danger is not that some humans are wolves. The danger is that institutions built to restrain wolves are being run by them. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Clara, thanks for listening.